You're listening to At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production.
Welcome to this edition of At the Mic. I'm your host, Keith Malinak. If you listen to this podcast, you're likely familiar with the show that I produce on Blaze TV. It's a show called Pat Gray Unleashed. If you ever notice the artwork which accompanies each show, whether you see the show thumbnail over on the Blaze network, maybe on the app, or maybe you go to the Pat Gray Unleashed YouTube page where you see each episode there, well, the creative energy behind those images is the Blaze TV's own Morgan Bentley-Roberts. Morgan has an artful background that stretches beyond what she does for the network, and in our conversation, we discuss all those areas of art. And speaking of which, we also discuss a band that doesn't make a bad music video, a very creative band that you should be aware of. She also clues us in on the term LARPing, which I was not familiar with whatsoever. Get ready for an education with Morgan Bentley-Roberts, this week's guest on At the Mic. Morgan, thanks so much for spending time here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
All right. Let's start off. Let's go to the beginning. You were born in Dayton, Ohio.
It's true.
Okay, so how long were you there?
I was only there until I was like a toddler, so like 4 years.
Okay, all right, so 4 years there, and then did you move out of the state or
Yeah,
where?
so me and my sister, my mom moved to Oklahoma, actually.
Oh, wow.
And then I was there until third grade, and then fourth grade we moved to Dallas.
Okay.
And then all the way through high school, I was in Dallas, Texas, and then I returned to Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, for my undergrad.
That's weird. What got you back up there? College then?
Yeah. So art school, Columbus College of Art and Design. I got a really nice scholarship, and it, took me back to the roots.
I see. So these art colleges, are all of the classes, because we'll talk about what you do here,
Sure.
because your background is very important to the show that I'm the producer of,
Right.
Pat Gray Unleashed, and we'll talk
Right.
about what you do behind the scenes for that, because it's very cool. These art schools, I've always thought this, but I've never had someone to ask, and it just hit me. Do you take other classes there, or are they all art related? You're taking math or science or anything like that, or is it just art stuff?
No, so you have to take all classes. I was lucky enough where I didn't have to take math, but I did have to take science and history, art history, psychology, all those things. But you have your major, and my major was advertising and graphic design. So my core classes were rotated like around that. So.
Okay. So just because it's called a school for art,
Yeah.
it's still a 4-year degree,
Right,
all
yeah.
encompassing. You had to get the however many credit hours,
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree in fine arts.
There you go.
So.
Totally makes sense now. Okay, very cool. But does the art school have any sports teams or anything like that? You got a bunch of art majors out there, yeah?
Yeah, so there is a basketball team.
Okay.
There is a soccer team, and there is also a LARPing team.
What is LARPing? I'm going to have to Google this right now.
You know, like when people like pretend sword fight, and like they wear costumes.
It stands for live action role playing
Yes.
game. I had no idea.
Yes, it's incredibly nerdy, but art school, it brings in a very specific kind of person, and nerds are one of them. So it only makes sense. And they're the most proactive group on the quad, because they would meet up and practice, have matches, I guess. Like, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, how do they... there was in high school, there were some kids that would play these role-playing games, Dungeons and Dragons or something like that.
Right, yeah.
But I didn't know, there's a winner? I mean, I've literally not taken 5 minutes to look into this.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like, oh, yeah, the LARPers are out. Like,
The
there they
LARPers
go.
are out. So it's not like the Columbus College of Art and Design official NCAA team, because that would be...
they might as well be.
I mean, that is, to me, and I know I'm going to offend a lot of people here. Now I'm going to start calling it LARPing.
Yeah.
Role-playing, it feels like things that I did when I was in elementary school, and these guys never grew out of. No?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. with like that kind of person, right? They're looking for creative outlets everywhere. That's just an extension of another creative outlet.
Okay.
Some people, like for myself, the way I dress is a creative outlet. That might not even seem obvious as a creative outlet, but I think that's just another way that people...
All right.
can express themselves and maybe just use as like an escape tool.
Okay, all right. And you said they had a soccer team?
Yes, don't know anything about that.
Don't know, okay, so you don't know if they were any good. And what was the other sport?
Basketball.
Were they any good there?
Who could ever be sure? I'm sure probably not, right? Especially compared to like the Buckeyes. Like we're sharing the same city with like
All right, that's true.
A D1 school, so who cares about
that's
art
a fair
school
point. Yeah.
teams?
All right, so did you play any sports growing up, or you're not into athletics? Or
No, I wanted to, but I was always in a weird situation where I was lucky enough to attend really nice schools, public schools, but with that being said, the people I was going to school with had been playing sports their whole life, so I was never good enough compared to the people I was going to school with, so I just never made the teams.
Gotcha.
Which maybe in just general, I'm just not a good athlete.
Okay, all right, well.
Or maybe it was just because they were so advanced. I don't know, but I had interest in volleyball.
Okay.
That did not take off.
Well, when did you play that?
8th grade.
Okay.
7th and 8th grade.
Why didn't it work out?
I don't know. I think there were just people who were better than me, and so it just didn't
pan out.
Yeah, no.
Your life seems very interesting the way you grew up in Dallas. Like you were born in Ohio,
right?
But grew up primarily in Dallas.
Yep.
They went back to Ohio for college.
Yes.
So how did you get back here to Dallas? Was it this job?
No, it wasn't. So after I graduated, I stayed in Columbus for a few months, and I was doing some freelance stuff, and that just kind of fizzled out. So I moved back here for a different job, which was in a completely different industry. I was still a graphic designer, but I started to outgrow that job really quickly because the graphics team was not very big, and I was just looking for there to be more, something I could contribute to, something that, would contribute to me. And then I applied here. And I was like, why am I doing this? Because I don't know if you've seen my portfolio.
No. Is there a place where people can go online to see it?
Yeah.
Let's give the...
It's MrRoberts.com.
And that's the whole word, M-I-S-T-E-R.
M-I-S-S, Miss.
Oh, my bad.
Mr. Roberts.
Okay, M-I-S-S-T-E-R, and then another R? Roberts.com.
Yep.
Okay, so you keep talking, and I'm going to that website and check out your portfolio.
So that I mean, my body of work is incredibly eccentric. Like, it's it's very loud. It's involved with pop culture. There's, it's very conceptual based, and I was like, I'm interested in getting involved in media, which is why I applied here.
Wait, who designed this website? Who hosts it with this person floating around?
I designed all of it.
So you can do web design and all that stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you don't just submit this stuff to somebody.
Oh God, no.
You handle all of this stuff too.
Yeah,
wow.
I'm too much of a control freak to be like, oh, here's my idea.
Control freak.
So he's writing down control freak.
Yep, I sure am. How do you know this?
Can't see.
I love this. This is very eccentric. Yep, I see this. That's a good way to describe it.
So when I got called in for an interview, I was like, what could they possibly want? Because conservative media, right? Like that only has...
You thought we were boring. You thought we were boring.
Not even boring. It's just like there's guidelines, right? You can't. You have a viewer to please. You have to keep them happy.
Yeah, you probably don't have too many opportunities to... Well, I was about to say... I was going to say to put a dog's head on a person's body, but actually, now I think of some of the things you've done for Pat's show.
Yeah, you know what? Let me tell you what. It has not been boring at all. So when I got called in for the interview, I was just, let's see what they want.
Let's see what happens.
And when I met Alexander, he was like, I was so impressed with your portfolio. I want you to do that, but for us. Are you serious?
Wow.
It's so rare to get asked to do something that you specifically do. Nonetheless, and something you don't expect conservative media. And I've never been told at any other liberal-based job, we want you to do exactly what
interesting.
What you do.
You would think they would want the creativity and the outside the box.
That just wasn't and hasn't been the case for me. Granted, I haven't been doing this out in the professional world very long, but never have I been asked to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Yeah. What you do, and jump in if I get any of this wrong, because I will. Since we've started putting Pat Gray Unleashed, that program is part of the Blaze TV lineup. We've started to put the full shows up on YouTube. And so every day there's a theme of the show or the title of the show or something like that gets submitted to you.
Right.
And maybe some ideas of what we're thinking. Hey, could you maybe put Joe Biden's head on whatever,
Right.
One of my favorite ones of all time that you did is the Moses image, the image of Charlton Heston as Moses with the locusts flying around.
Right.
And because we just were talking about biblical, basically doomsday prophecy stuff happening, with volcanoes and viruses and stuff. And you came up with that great image. That's the kind of stuff that you come up with.
Right. So it's fun because you guys are here, you're doing the episode, and then someone from your team is like, hey, here's an idea. So actually, it's not really my idea. The concept comes from you guys, which I love. And then they provide images of like, hey, maybe think of, doing this with that. And so it's up to me to make that image actually happen, which I love because of you guys sharing ideas with me. And then I'm the one visually making it happen, which I think is just so exciting because that's like the best form of collaboration. You host the idea and then I take together these resources and hopefully it comes together.
Well, it's great, the stuff that you do.
Thank you.
Are there other people in your family that are creative like this, or are you kind of the one that sticks out like a sore thumb? Or
my mom studied art,
okay,
and she's like a really phenomenal artist. But as far as being the most eccentric, that would definitely be me. I would say I stick out. But that's not to say that my family isn't creative. Like my sister sings, and my mom.
That's what I was going to ask
you.
Is your sister similar to you, the direct opposite, or
we're similar, but we're also very different.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people say that about their siblings. We have the same sense of humor, but everything else is incredibly different.
How close are y'all in age then?
So we're only 2 years apart.
There you go. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So you've kind of already touched on this. I wanted to ask you, when you were a kid, did you think that this is the kind of job you would do? I guess more of the question is, when did you realize you had a gift for art and that was something you wanted to pursue? And I guess the follow-up to that would be, were you just thinking, I'm going to find a way to make sure that this is the kind of thing that I'm doing for a living?
Yeah, so I think in high school I took a graphic design class and I failed it.
Whoa!
Yeah, and then the next year I applied to art school and then got a really solid scholarship. So I was like, what's going on? You're supposed to receive this kind of like approval through the years of like what you should be doing and then pursue that. And when I got this mixed message, I was like, okay.
And how old were you again when this happened?
When I failed that graphic design class, I was a junior in high school. Or no, I'm sorry, I was a sophomore in high school. Okay. And then the next year I was a junior.
Still, you're getting kind of close to decision time.
Exactly. So I was like, when you have that gut feeling of this is something that I know could be good. I had that, and it was strong enough where I was, okay, I'm just going to keep going. And then when I submitted this really lousy portfolio and got not only approval, but like, a gift to go to this school. It just, the shoe fit. I've always had in my mind that it was something that I was interested in and something I could definitely make a career out of. And I think it was the right choice. I don't know, though, that I was always clear, like when I was a kid, I'm going to be a graphic designer.
So how many different schools did you try to get into, and were they all art-related schools?
Yeah, so I considered applying to multiple universities, but I just didn't have the confidence to, and I was going to go for sports medicine. If I were going to go to Alabama State, Bama was so interesting to me because their sports medicine program is really great, and I knew a lot of great athletes that were going to be enrolled at the same time that I would be. And so it was either sports medicine route or it was the art and design route.
But you don't have a big background in sports, huh? Or
well, here's the thing. And through high school, I was in sports medicine because I couldn't play the sports. I wanted to be around the hype. And so that was my way of doing it. And so I got really great at taping wrists and ankles and like doing pre-treatments and after game treatments, and I was the Gatorade girl. And so
nice.
I was the water girl. I was
fun.
the token water girl.
The token water girl.
So yeah, it was.
So how close were you to almost going down that path?
I would not say very close.
Okay.
No.
All right. Very good. Now you're obviously art inclined and a control freak, as we learned earlier.
Okay, but control freak is not like.
You just want to have the final say, or
maybe not. Maybe not even the final. Well. Maybe in some cases.
Yeah.
I think it's just like
because you're talking to a control freak right now, okay? And so it's maddening when you have your hand in something, but you aren't the decider, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's not even the decider. It's like when you've done something so many times, you can see the outcome of it before it even happens. So when something starts to move in a way that is just going to be terrible.
That's a train track we shouldn't be going down.
And it's like...
I wouldn't say that's a control freak. That's just you using experience to guide an outcome, no?
I think so, but like at what point do you kind of let go and just let it happen and hopefully it doesn't go the wrong way?
Well, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I've seen enough derailments to try to warn others, hey... But I'm guessing that the way you signal trouble ahead for others is probably much less abrasive than how I do it. Let's put it that way.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be.
Okay, so you've held other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked in retail. You've worked in childcare.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the retail.
Okay.
What kind of job are we talking about?
I worked for Foot Locker.
Oh, cool.
When I was in college. And in Columbus, the location I was at is actually the second highest volume for Foot Locker after Times Square. Wow. So, like, I was busy. Yeah, and I was selling a lot of shoes.
You were probably crashing at the end of the day.
Yeah, oh my God, yeah. I've always loved, like, retail. I love fashion. I love trendy stuff. And so that job was really fun because I got to see what was coming in, what was going out, like what customers liked. Yeah. And, like, because we were such a high-volume store, we got a lot of the newer products. So I was exposed to, like, a lot of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, it was cool.
So wait, do you make commission at a Foot Locker?
Yeah, barely, but really? Yeah. I think it was like 1% of your sale, something really incredibly low.
You've been a nanny.
Oh, yeah.
Taking care of what I call OPKs, other people's kids.
Mm-hmm. I like that term.
Yeah, but there's another question later on that you absolutely never want to have children. So how does that work? Do you just love other people's kids?
Here's the thing. I think kids are great. I think childhood development is incredibly important. And being able to help form that and impact that is something that's always been really, like, close to me. And working as a nanny, I got to see where, like, kids were just kind of going without certain guidance. And, like, I would grow really close to them and want to help them. And I always enjoyed that kind of work. But with that being said,
you learn this isn't for me. No?
I think I would be a great mother. It's just I think it's almost irresponsible to have kids if you're not ready. You know, like I think it's just having kids is such a investment, such an important thing. When you're not fully there, like, why did you do it? You know?
Why did you do this? Okay. So could you change your mind on that, you think?
I think so. I think if I had a good enough partner who... Yeah. It's funny. I was actually just talking about this, I think yesterday. Is like if I had a partner who I was like, there needs to be more of you, I think I would change my mind. But that's as of funny. Now, I'm like...
There's nobody that fits that description.
There's no one that fits that description.
That's awesome. Okay, so and that goes on to the next question. You know, you're not married. And I love, because I send out emails to everyone. I talk about this on the show. I send out emails ahead of time and ask questions. And absolutely not was the answer under any kids. Do you have any kids? Absolutely not. And are you married? Absolutely not. So I think we just answered this. Could you also change your tune on marriage as well, or absolutely not?
No. When I say absolutely not, it was more like absolutely not. Thank you, God, that I am still forming as an individual, because I can't think of anything more like just a nightmare than to be like half baked and then being with someone else who's also half baked, and then together you're trying to like figure out things. It's like I'd rather be a whole unit before trying to find another one.
That's well said. Yeah, sure. You have a business.
I do.
And this is pretty interesting. Where can people find, because you make and sell earrings.
Yes.
You still do this. This isn't just something you did in college. You still do this.
No, it's still happening. Yeah.
So how can people find your stuff? Is it not through the MissRoberts.com?
You can find it through there. There is a Mavernine page, but it's shopmavernine.com.
Gotcha. How do you spell that?
ShopMaverNeen.com.
That's ShopMavereen. I'm gonna screw this up.
No, it's a difficult name. It's a special name.
How do they find? So that's you came up with that. So that's not like you're not an affiliate. That is your website.
That is all me.
You gotta come up with something easier. Like, can we?
I don't know. I think Maverine's special.
Well, maybe we do a tiny URL so that people don't have to worry about typing it. Okay.
People are.
Like me?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, need a little special help.
That's me. And for fun, you make music.
I do.
That is pretty cool. And, you know, I have another question here, interesting talents that you have. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the music that you make would be on drums and the piano. Any other instruments?
I don't own my own set of drums.
Okay. But you're self-taught.
Piano, yeah.
How did you teach yourself on drums if you don't own them?
Yeah, so here's the thing. When I was growing up, my family went to a church, and when service was out, I would always find the worship leader and be like, can I go just play around on the drums?
Nice.
And as I kept doing that, I was able to learn them. And then my best friend, who I met in college, her family's from Columbus, so we would often go home and visit her family, and they had a set of drums.
Oh, cool.
So I was able to...
You got enough time.
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to like really form that and practice that. And
hang on a second. My stepbrother used to own a set of drums. Mm-hmm. And he would only come over to where I lived every other weekend. Mm-hmm. So for 3 days, he would bang on the drums, okay? Your friend, and more to your friend's parents, and the people at the church while you were just jamming.
Yep.
They must have had a lot of patience.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think
they're loud,
They are loud, and like if someone's not rhythmic, they're awful.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they are awful. But I think I just am rhythmic. And
good for you, yeah.
So I just like wasn't, I don't think, as maybe in the beginning.
Okay.
It was painful. Oh, there she goes on the stage again with the drums.
Uh-huh.
But I don't know. I think it was something that I was able to pick up and enjoy.
You taught yourself the piano as well,
yes,
right? Okay.
Yeah. So I still...
You got a piano?
I have a keyboard.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I have always wanted to learn one song by Toad the Wet Sprocket. Okay. I want to learn to play the drums, but I really have no interest beyond just learning one song just because it sounds cool.
Yeah.
So someone that has, moderate rhythm. I'm not...
Oh, you keep instruments? Yeah.
Okay, that's my rhythm right there.
Okay.
How long is it going to take me to learn a song if I ever sat down and tried to learn it?
Well, with YouTube, what a gift.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You probably would be
do that.
hours deep. Not even days. Maybe with recording and everything, a weekend, I'd say. But if you're like rhythmic enough and you know the drums enough, I think you should be just fine.
Okay, I'll give it a try. But I got to find drums. That's the problem.
Well, tell me about it.
Yeah.
If you figure that out, because those are very expensive.
Yeah. So wait, do you live in a house or an apartment?
I live in an apartment.
Oh, so you should not be buying drums anytime soon.
Well, but I have a garage.
Okay.
Which is also under an apartment. So maybe not, yeah.
Yeah. So do you play the drums or the piano better?
I would say the drums.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool.
Because I'm left-handed. So I actually have to turn my keyboard upside down because I can't move my right hand as quickly as I can my left hand. So where I need the proper so I have to either play like this or I literally turn my keyboard upside down.
You're the Jimi Hendrix of drums or of piano.
What does that even mean?
Well, he had to turn a guitar upside down to play it.
Oh, okay.
Forgot how young you are. Sorry.
Well, I know Jimi Hendrix, but it's just like I didn't ever watch him perform or know any of his quirks or anything.
No, that's cool. That's really cool. I probably have that fact wrong. I'll vet it and then
I know is like he did some weird like he got really heavy into drugs.
Yeah,
and like
that was the 60s.
Abuse them in a really harsh way, like physically cutting his body and like.
Oh wow! Oh no! Yeah, that's good stuff. There. Yeah. Let's see here. I'm just trying to. Yeah. So he was left-handed. Wait. Al Hendrix, was that his dad? Believed playing left-handed was a sign of the devil?
Yeah, the left hand's the devil's hand.
I've never heard that. And so he would restring right-handed guitars. Yeah, okay. Wow. All righty. So noted. Freak. Okay. So you also like to watch local bands perform?
I do.
Any local bands here that you want to give a shout out to?
No.
No.
with all the kindness. And here's the thing. I think there's a lot of talent, but as far as like performances, I've been very underwhelmed. Okay, all right. And your favorite musical genre? Now keep in mind, that's the question in the email, folks. Favorite musical genre? And she comes up with indie, alternative, R&B, soul, classic hip-hop, all of them, huh? Everything. Okay, I like a lot of music. I don't, as a pastime, listen to country music, which I think is probably a crime around here. I think country music's like fun to dance to, like country dancing, but I don't like to just sit there and listen to it. No. Okay, good. I'm in a safe place.
Oh, you're totally in a safe place. In fact, one of the things I regularly do is mock country music because it's something that anyone can sing.
Yes.
You can take any song whatsoever and make it into a country song.
Yeah, and I find that people who listen to country music are like, well, I can't listen to any other music because they're talking about a bunch of crap, whatever. And I'm like, well, no, all music talks about the same stuff because we're all living You know, so like we're all dealing with the same things. It's just
Saying
like
it in a
they say
different
it in
way.
a different way.
Yes,
Exactly, yeah.
It's the same language, just in a different...
Formula.
Sure. Different formula. Yeah. I almost forgot. Go back to the most intriguing talent. Forget the musical instruments.
yeah.
I mean, there's
Forget all of
so
it.
many musicians
Forget
in the
all of
world.
it, yeah.
It's the Rubik's Cube that you can do from start to finish in 4 to 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's slow too.
I've been on this earth for more than 4 decades, and I still can't solve a Rubik's Cube. Thank you, Rubik's Cube. And yet, I mean, how long did it take you originally when you first, did you take all day or did it take...
So when I was in 6th grade, I got my first Rubik's Cube, and I spent the whole Christmas break just trying to solve one side. And I figured that out.
Okay.
So, but it wasn't solved correctly. So like once, like the pieces have a place. And over the years, I just kept solving one side, and then I learned how to put them in place correctly. And then one day I took apart a Rubik's Cube because I was like, how do these square pieces move on like a center? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Well, it turns out there is like in fact a core, like a ball in the middle.
Each of them.
And then,
in the middle of the...
And then I realized that the center of each side never changes. So the white side's always the white side, the blue's always the blue, so on and so forth.
Nice.
So once you realize that, then you realize, oh, so these pieces actually have a home. And it's not like, oh, all the white on one side, all the blue. It's like, no, they're each piece actually has a spot on like the 3x3 grid.
See, now what I did when I was a kid, I just started peeling stickers off,
Oh,
moving them around. Look, I did it, y'all. Look at that.
No.
Why is it all sticky and all this residue from... Yeah, my bad. Okay, my question was, what is something people don't know about you? You recently modeled for GQ magazine. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How is that something that you've done in the past? Do you have a modeling background, or is it just this one-time thing? Or how'd you get that?
Yeah, so I don't have a professional modeling background. Like, I've never been signed with an agency, but I always modeled for photographers in Columbus.
Okay.
So I was known that way with local photographers.
Okay.
One of those photographers is also my best friend, who recently moved to Los Angeles, and she's been working with GQ magazine. So she got this gig where they're like, Hannah, we want you to go to this new restaurant, photograph the food, and we need you to find models to go eat the food and photograph them eating the food.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So she calls me. She's like, Morgan, you're my friend. You're also photogenic. Would you like to do this? I was like, are you kidding? So you're telling me I go sit there, eat free food, and you take pictures of me? Absolutely.
Do you get to approve them first so you don't have like noodles hanging out of your mouth or whatever?
I mean, no. So I don't get any say in which photos, but like obviously I got to see them before she sent them off, and then GQ picks what they want in their magazine, and so it was a cool gig.
That is cool. Okay, I ask this question: what's something you want to accomplish in your lifetime? Most people might scribble out, 1 or 2 word sentences or whatever. There's 5 things listed here, which I think is super cool. Yes, we're going to go through all of them.
Okay.
I've never had anyone say, I'd like to host a TED Talk. That's cool. My follow-up is, on what subject?
It depends what I master by then, or what I've learned, or what I'm able to share.
What a great response. I don't know. It depends on what I know at that point. That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, I mean...
right now, if they came to you right now, you got to do a TED Talk. You got 5 minutes to prepare. Go. What are you going to talk about?
Human connection.
Huh.
I think we're in a time where empathy and human connection has become so taken advantage of and overlooked, that it's like to share experiences of, especially in a political background, right? Is like, I think there's this lack of forgetting, like, we're all people, and regardless, like, not to be hippy dippy, like love should come first, but there should be this common love for one another that I don't see, especially when it comes to the two sides politically. That is just like the way I hear certain people talk about people they're not familiar with, as if they're not even people at all. And I'm like, are you forgetting? Yeah.
No, that's a good point. And I'm glad you bring this up, because on Pat's show, I flippantly said, I just don't like people. I don't like people. Which is true. I'm not a people person. So how great that he's hosting a podcast where he sits down and talks to people. But no, I think I really misspoke. It's not that I can't stand people or I don't like people. It's that I can't stand the things that people do, like bad habits or just annoying stuff. And I think that what has happened to me and made me such a cynic toward the human race in general is just seeing the people that have this wonderful existence with YouTube channels off of the most inane stuff. We are living idiocracy because people are lapping this crap up, and it just drives me to the point of like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Who am I more annoyed with? The person who has this channel or the people that are downloading it every day?
Mm-hmm. They work together. They keep each other in business. So
how do we come together without annoying the hell out of each other?
You know, I don't know that we'll ever master that. And there's probably a good reason why we won't. But I think there's a way that we need to change our thinking about things that are different and things that we're not familiar with. Is just because it's different, just because it's new, doesn't make it bad. It just makes it different. It makes it new. And that doesn't mean you need to accept it, and that doesn't mean you need to change your life for it. That just means that you still need to acknowledge it as something that coexists with you.
How does that jive with a control freak?
I think I do pretty good with that, honestly.
Okay.
I think I'm slow to adjustments, but once I adjust, I'm fine.
Okay. You want to start a nonprofit?
Yeah.
In what area are we talking about?
I think it would be something, it'd probably be an extension of my current business, because how Maverining started is I was actually... have you ever heard of the YWCA? It's like the women... Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so...
I'm old, remember?
Oh, right. So the women's centers in Columbus, I was going and volunteering there, and to spend time with the art group, I would have them help me make pom-poms, which I make these like giant pom-pom earrings. And
are you wearing today homemade earrings?
I'm not. No,
these are just loop earrings.
These are just
which
hoops.
Reminds me, before I forget, one of the things I do during all of these interviews, I don't like calling them interviews, these conversations, is I take a picture for the podcast. So, if they were self-created earrings, then I was going to make sure that they stood out there. So, say cheese. Here we go. And let me go like that. Oh, hold on the earrings real quick.
Yeah.
See, I have no talent when arts and crafts.
Okay.
They would just be a gloopy glob of what a mess. Mm-hmm. How many trial and errors before you started saying, hey, you know what, I got this?
A few.
Okay.
A few. Basically, I saw something that I didn't want to pay for, and I was like, how can I make that?
That's awesome. That's what would motivate me to make change in the world.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm too cheap to pay for this.
Yeah, how can I not pay for that, but instead make it?
Yeah.
That's like the motto of my whole life.
Nice.
But it started as that. And then it simultaneously, that happened with a project where I had to volunteer. And so I was like, how can I spend time with this volunteer job and do something that I'm interested in? And that's how it kind of created. So I think the nonprofit would be something adjacent to my business, where it's women who are being introduced back into society, whether they're recovering from drug abuse or re-entering from their inmates, whatever. How can I provide an opportunity where they can reestablish just skill sets and,
that's cool.
An identity back into our society?
Very good. And you've talked about your business, and how do you advertise that? Because one of the things I like people to do, trying to get in the habit of remembering this, is giving out their social media. I know that you have an Instagram at, I'm going to spell this, and MR _MISSTER. So it's Mr. space Mr. So MR _MISSTER. Do you advertise a lot through that? Or?
I do. I have a separate Instagram account called Shop Maverining, same as the website.
See, there we go. Now, I'm not even going to try to spell that. You can spell that.
It's the same as the website, just the at Shop Maverining on Instagram. Yeah. And we do, the link is also in the bio there.
Cool.
But I do,
good. That's helpful.
The great thing about being a designer is I can make whatever I want for my own advertisement. So, and I have best friend photographers. So I have like a really
good connections.
Yeah, I have really great resources and really beautiful photographs to work with of different models wearing earrings and different age groups wearing earrings, which I love because I find that a lot of trendy things are geared towards younger audiences. And it's like, well, what about, like the older audiences who love to be trendy as well, so
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's great. You want to live and work in New York City.
I am cut from that fabric.
I figured, that makes sense since you're into art and fashion and stuff.
Right. I think just that ability to be around all those different things would be great, but just like not having a car. I love the idea of just being able to like hop on the transit and get 30 minutes away and not have to be stuck in a box. I mean, stuck in a bigger box, but with people, right? And that's fun. Instead of being like stuck bumper to bumper and like sitting 30 minutes to get 2 minutes away.
I got to have my isolation. No, thank you. I got to have my autonomy and be able to control my car and go exactly where I want to go. Yeah. Have you visited New York?
I have. Yeah, I have a lot of friends in New York.
So it's not just this romanticized version in your head.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, I know it can be nitty-gritty gross, but I love it. I do.
Okay, well, as someone who's lived and worked in New York City, not lived in New York City, but worked there.
Did you transit in and out, or did you drive, or what?
Yeah, we lived way out in Western Jersey. Got as far away from the city as we could. And I will say, of all the places we've lived in some less populated places. I have never, ever seen the sky as beautiful as it does in Western Jersey. I can't believe I'm saying that. New York City, an hour away, and yet the sky was beautiful. I think the only place, and it was a place I visited, not lived, was Los Alamos, New Mexico. But Western Jersey, the nighttime sky, beautiful. That's really
probably because of the pollution.
Oh, don't do this. No, don't do this.
No, I'm serious. The better the sunset, the worse the levels of like everything's...
Wait, but we have great sunsets here.
Well,
no, don't do it. I'm not listening to this. No. Well, anyway, good luck on getting to New York.
Thank you. I'm doing my best.
Because that's where we came from.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, how are we overlapping here?
Yeah. So how old are you right now? If
I'm 24.
24. So when he moved here, when Glenn moved his operations, Glenn Beck is who we're speaking of, you were about 16. So you wouldn't have...
Yeah, no,
okay, wouldn't have worked out for you. Exactly. You want to go to grad school to study what?
I do. That is also to be announced, just because... I think grad school is such a special time. It's supposed to be something just for you to figure something out, and I don't know what that is.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Because that might lead to a TED Talk.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Who could ever be sure?
What does this mean? Score a video game. What does that even mean?
Like write the music for...
Oh, score. Okay, I'm thinking when you're trying to get out of high school, what's happening?
I'm trying to be the top winner. Yeah, no,
remember the theme of this podcast
that is so funny.
I'm old.
That is so funny. No, just like write the music
That's
for...
Cool.
I hate video games, which is really funny. Yeah. I don't understand playing them. I don't understand people who watch YouTube videos of someone playing a video game.
Oh my gosh, what is
so
that?
Weird.
What is that?
It's so weird.
With
it's
my kids and their cousins sitting around watching the other one play a game? That's stupid.
It's so stupid, but that's what they like, so whatever. But I think video games always have really fun music. Not music that I like want to plug up and listen to, but like it's just fun. Yeah. So like maybe that's something eventually I'll be able to do.
Can you write music? Or you just play it?
I can. No, I think I can write music, but I don't know how to. I can remember what I wrote, but I don't know how to actually like write it. You know what I'm saying? So someone else can't play it, but I can show them how to play it.
Exactly. I've had so many thoughts in my head of like, this would be a great song. You don't do anything where they don't record it. I love the story of John Tesh. He talks about how he was at the airport about to board a plane, and he came up with the iconic NBA on NBC theme song, and he called his house before we had smartphones and left a recording on his answering machine.
That is so funny.
Yeah, and he tells this story and he's singing into the microphone. I love
that. I do that. I do that with my voice memos when I'm like, if I'm driving home or whatever and I get an idea, I'll send it to my voice memos. So when I get home or when I remember to actually accomplish it, yeah. So my voice memos are like incredibly embarrassing for that reason.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How many voice memos are you backed up? Like, is there?
There was one point where I would just record. So it was just like Louisville because it picked up on my geolocation. It'd be like Louisville 1, and then it's all the way at like 60 something. So like if that tells you anything.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You got a lot of ideas that you need to get cracking on. Any regrets? Oh no, better stated. Because the answer on the email was so many. So many. Any that you want to discuss here?
That's such a funny question. I don't know that I have any that are intricate enough where I'm like, yeah, I regret doing X, Y, and Z. In reality, it would be like A through Z. But nothing worth starting a story about.
Gotcha.
I mean, yeah. Mm-hmm. But so many. I mean, come on.
Right. And just so you know, you're one of the lucky ones.
Oh.
I haven't had that I added that question in the last few days.
Okay. I was going to ask you,
right.
what are other answers?
Believe me, I wish I could redo my Jeffy interview and ask that question. It might end up being a 40-hour-long podcast that day. Anyhow, bucket list. You want to live abroad?
I do.
Whereabouts?
I don't know. I really like South America. The most recent place I visited was Colombia.
Okay.
And I loved being there.
Very cool.
But, with that being said, I don't know that it would be the safest option.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So I'm really attracted to South America, but I don't really have a place in mind.
Israel. You want to visit there?
I do.
What's got you motivated to go there?
So my best friend who I keep bringing up, her family is from Israel, and she's Jewish, and I've learned a lot about their culture and their religion and just the whereabouts of where they're from, and I've always have had an attraction to Israel, but that's kind of made it something that I want to pursue.
Yeah.
But other than that,
okay.
Just the idea of it is really great.
You want to learn another language?
I do.
Do you know which language you want to learn?
Probably Spanish first, because that's the
practical.
That's the most useful, especially in the South and anywhere really. But sign language would be fun. I think it's something that's overlooked and people don't consider.
There was a time my wife and my kids taught me the sign language alphabet. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've forgotten every letter now, so I'm not even able to.
A.
Thank you. A.
B.
C.
D.
Okay, we'll do this all day. So I would like to at least go back and relearn that.
Yeah.
I'm just ashamed that I've just forgotten over the years.
Well, it's like a muscle memory.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Again, one YouTube video away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got so much free time to sit there and
learn the ASL alphabet.
Yeah. Okay. You want to run a half marathon at some point. Why not the full one? It just seems like a halfway goal.
Yeah. That's funny. I am a halfway on a lot of things. I don't know, because our bodies are machines, but they're not machines that are meant to run that much. I think if you make yourself compete that hard, there's something within you that really hates yourself, because we're not meant to do that. We're not meant to run that hard that long and for why. And people literally break toes, hurt their joints, and whatever. So I think a half marathon is just enough where it's I know I can do this, and I probably could do the full thing, but I like myself enough not to.
You don't want to pass out halfway through the race, but you'd have to train, right?
Right.
I mean, that's still 13 miles, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of miles. I've only done 5Ks.
Okay, so how much training lead up would you need in order to do a half marathon?
I would say years. For me, for my level of running. I run every day. I run a mile a day at least. But like I said, I've only trained for 5Ks, which is a little over 3 miles. Barely over 3 miles.
When you go for these runs, how many miles are you doing?
I do at least a mile every day, but I don't do anything more than 3 at a time because I run every day.
You're going to have some training to do.
Yeah,
if
that's
you're
what I'm
do
saying. It's a
miles.
bucket list. It wasn't in my accomplishments.
That's true. That's true. That's a bucket list. All right. Anything we've missed? Anything you want to go back over or cover that we haven't sufficiently addressed here?
No, I feel pretty good.
Feel pretty good?
I feel pretty well, identified.
Yeah. I think this is good. All right, cool. So Instagram is at Mr. _.
Yeah, at Mr. MR_MISSTER. Mr.
And the website, yeah. There's a band, right?
Mr. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
And they were so fun.
Because I'm old.
One of their album covers where they're in a blue background and they're covered in balloons. And they're all in dresses. So cool.
A band that I think would speak to you is OK Go.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Their videos?
And their music videos are so good.
Okay, the music videos of OK Go are the reason that the internet was invented.
Yeah, I would agree. They were one of the first YouTube videos.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the treadmill video?
Yeah, the treadmill one, the one where they set off all the simple machines to do things.
Yeah, one of the first YouTube videos?
One of the most popular. Viral,
most popular. Okay, I got you. Okay, very good. No, seriously, folks, go to YouTube, look at any OK Go video. Their music is great.
Yeah, that's true.
As just music.
Right.
Then you couple it with their videos that are so creative. I mean, you talk about outside the box. We could all come together with YouTube videos of OK Go. Mm-hmm. Your website is MrRoberts.com. That's MISS. Roberts.com. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Morgan.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Morgan Bentley-Roberts, Blaze TV. Oh, that's what I wanted to say.
Oh, yeah.
The YouTube videos, that's when I started thinking about YouTube. Every day, if you want to see her artwork, her fresh artwork every day, look for Pat Gray Unleashed. That's the thumbnail on YouTube for his shows every day. Thanks so much, Morgan.
Yeah, it was fun.
This has been At the Mic with Keith, an independent podcast production. Look for At the Mic Show on Twitter to connect.